Alright guys, welcome back to class. Make sure we're keeping up with all these labs. I mean, we do have several that missing some labs yet. The other thing to keep in mind, they're through May 6th, they're doing the online class evaluations. If you need a copy of how to do it step by step, we have that. Otherwise,
So it's May 6th that they'll do one?
no, you have till May 6th from now.
Oh, because I went looking for it, it wasn't there.
If you haven't been advised, you need to be getting with us so you can be advised. I thought you did, but I'm.
This one?
All right. The other thing we're doing, we're submitting paperwork. I'll call the different companies, find out who wants an intern, what they're going to be offering, the hours affiliated with it. So when we have a definitive answer from each company as to what they're offering in terms of an internship, we will share that with the prospective individuals. All right. So any questions on the labs up to this point?
What's missing? For each?
The ones you haven't completed?
Yeah. Well, I got brain freeze in that area.
I have to get back with you, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and breeze through this. We don't have a full class, we're missing several here.
You guys
Matter of fact, I
got a
need to-
holiday or something?
Well, I know John is out, and I know Mr. Jones is gonna be out. But,
But it's not a holiday or anything.
no. No, my birthday's in October, so I know it's not a holiday. All right, we're moving right to synchronous
Good luck with
belts.
that one.
Huh?
Good luck with that one.
As long as my lady thinks it's a holiday, we're great.
Let me tell you, we'll vote for you.
All right. But it's a joke. But anyway, everybody knows what a synchronous belt looks like and what it's all about, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Kind of,
All right, thank you for answering. You can relate timing belts, where and 4 cylinders and 6 cylinders were really predominant with using belts back in the day. Most have went to chains, but there's still some that are using timing belts. Well, actually a lot that's still using timing belts today. Now, those timing belts can handle a lot of abuse. Most are good from 60 to as much as 100,000 miles. A lot of times they'll last 120, but what generally takes them out, some of the motor companies decided to run the water pump off the timing belt. Well, the problem with that is when the water pump goes out, guess what else gets to go with it? All right, now here's an example of a timing belt or a synchronous belt. All right, if you want, I can pass it around. Otherwise, you can check it out while it's on the trainer. However,
Pay for enough of those.
the thing that's important about timing belts and talking about cars, so because most of us can relate to that, right? We get in one to get to school. You have an interference fit engine and a non-interference engine. Everybody know the difference with that?
Yeah.
If you don't, I'll answer it. If you have a non-interference, you can lose the timing belt and all is peachy. In other words, the pistons do not make contact with valves. If you got an interference motor, guess what? Not only did you get to change the belt when it goes out, you get to put another head on it and maybe some pistons.
anything else you mess up with, you break the valves.
And if it snapped the valve off and it goes into the block, now you get to buy a long block.
Well, I'll tell you, I got real lucky because mine went when I was idling at a stoplight, and when it went, right, it was just good enough so that it didn't hit, you know. And
Everything shut down instantly.
Yeah,
Had you been going down the road, that would have been a different scenario.
yeah.
All right. Now, the other thing that I'll share with you, synchronous belts. Our good friend Macy's Every belt that I looked at that was driving one of their conveyor belt systems was a synchronous belt. They've gotten away from chains with the Dematic and Rapistan, who put in the majority, not all of it, but majority of their conveyor systems have went to the synchronous belt from chain. Why do you think that is?
No.
That's one reason.
Less of a mess.
Definite another reason. All right, with less mess means what? One less PM maybe I have to do? Because what's the chain
General
require?
maintenance, too.
Huh?
It'd be less general maintenance probably too.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. What does the chain require?
Lubrication.
Lubrication. That belt doesn't require lubrication. And generally, I mean, sometimes you can put spring-loaded tensioners on there, just like your idler that's on your serpentine belt on your front of your motor, and a lot of the timing belts have on them now. So as they stretch, the tension's already be taken up. So what happens is when they get loose or there's a lot of hard deceleration or acceleration, you start wearing on the teeth of the belt. All right? So those heavy-footed individuals such as myself, you need to make sure you got a real good belt on there, a heavy-duty belt that can handle that sudden acceleration and deceleration. When you whip it up about 8,000 RPMs and then something, lets loose, you're coming off of it real quick, or the guy that you're racing changes lanes in front of you unexpectedly. Engines just don't like it. That and shift points can be, depending on how you got the power band set, it can be a little hard on them. But they're designed to take a lot of abuse. Similar belts used on blower systems, used on cars. Depending on the blower, the old 671 that they had and the 871 would have about a 3 to 4 inch wide synchronous belt that would run the blower. How many watched the NHRA and seen those top fuel cars go down the track? Those guys are making over 10,000 horsepower now. Think about that. They're making more horsepower with one cylinder than most of the hot rods we get to see riding up and down the street.
A lot of.
And then the one thing you see leaving when they're going down through there, you'll watch, you'll see that something happened to the blower. Next thing you know, the belt goes up about 100 feet in the air. And it takes almost 100 horsepower to turn the blower. Put that in perspective.
Mhm.
So you can understand what that belt can take. It can take a lot of abuse. So we don't have to PM it as much. We don't have to lube it, right? There's harmonics that are not getting transferred, because chain can carry a certain degree of harmonics and create it, which that belt doesn't create, and a lot quieter, right? Would you agree with that statement? And the other, what's one more thing that kind of lends itself to that a chain doesn't?
Lightweight.
Well, that's one good thing.
Flexibility.
So I could be maybe a little out of alignment.
Mhm.
Much more deviation than what a chain would allow you, right? You get me with me? I mean, there's a lot of advantages to synchronous belts. And we're going to go through this. Again, I'm going to breeze through this pretty quick. But if you got any questions, ask me. But do you get a good understanding of what they're about and how they work? Now, the one disadvantage to synchronous belts, a lot of times, it's always good to check the shivs whenever we replace a belt, because they do wear. Because the belt is made in such a way that it lasts so long, it does tend to generate wear on the shivs. All right?
How do you notice? I mean, where
You'll see rounding on those teeth. Let's see. This has somewhat of a rounded tooth. All right. Where this is more indicative of what you see on a motor. And when you have one on an engine, you'll see these starting to get rounded. They'll literally, I mean, it'll look more like a rounded hump, similar to what's on the belts at times. All right, so we have to pay attention to those. But again, unless the teeth are totally going on there, a lot of times if the equipment is down, because what's the name of the game? We got to get what? Get the equipment back. Because uptime means we keep a job. The faster we get it back up, and the more uptime it has, the better we look, right? Because I'm telling you right now, and you take this whatever it's worth, a lot of companies rate their maintenance department and the overall production of the facility on the amount of uptime it has. Bonuses correlate to uptime. We all like bonuses. And it's nice to get that. I mean, we go to work to get the paycheck, but when they're going to give us a bonus on top of the paycheck, hey, that might be the vacation money, right? Could be that transmission you need for your car, or actually get a real car. I mean, I don't know. You see where I'm, all right, but anyway, let's reel us back in. Let's get through this, and we'll get you out of here. Synchronous belts. You've got to look at them. You've got to look at the sheaves. You'll actually, the first part in here, I mean, it gives you a nice clear image of what the synchronous belt looks like. They do, if there is a chart, and I'm going to pass this around, there is a new style of synchronous belt that they're using. And if you look at the top right on this chart, you'll see that. They actually have a V-grooved synchronous belt. Sir? Really?
Would you say that the larger the gearing is on the synchronous belts, the less wear there is on the belt?
It depends on the application. That is not necessarily true.
Because, you know, with more ribs grabbing,
Well,
keeping each other in line.
it depends if you used to increase the diameter of one that had a small tooth, and I have more tooth engagement around the belt,
Yeah.
it would have a tendency, yes, to last longer. If I have more belt being engaged around a pulley or a shiv, it has a tendency to last longer versus the smaller one. If I go from a 180 degrees of contact to 120 or less, it's like anything. The less engagement I have, the more I put on a small area, and then the load dictates how long it's going to last. All right? So, I mean, to a degree, yes, that is true, Ed. So, but, I mean, really, this is real indicative of what you see, and it is labeled timing belt, of what you see on an engine. And if the teeth here, you see how concise they are, if you see a lot of gap in around that where it fits into that shiv, it's time to replace the shivs, or you need to soon, all right? It's going to go into the construction. It's going to tell you how to determine the pitch. You need to go center to center, and in the one instance in here, they're actually looking at lead edge to lead edge. All right? Tells you about checking the deflection. Again, it's not, you won't have this as tight as you would a V-belt. Doesn't need to be. Kind of makes sense, right?
Yes, this is in that hole. So cool.
Got those teeth on there, really don't need to have excessive amount of tension on it. You're going to create premature failure. Now here's a chart for checking deflection. Again, I'm going to run through here fairly quick. It's to show you how you're going to do your basic setup, what you're going to set up. Again, another formula where we're looking at the ratio. Shows the motor. There's your setup for the first skill set. Putting your belt on, and you're checking the deflection. And then you'll fill in your information for your setup. I think you do 1 and 2 and 5 and 6, I believe, is on this slab. All right. There's your review. Again, you see how it's going lead edge to lead edge, or trailing edge to trailing edge, however you want to look at it. And this is the rounded tooth. I mean, there's a lot of different designs, and if you look at that chart, and I have put that chart up on the wall over here on the north side of the classroom. There's one up there, and if I have to, I'll put one on each wall, so you have a reference for belts. Again, anytime we can create a quieter operation, and guys, if you all ever had the chance to go through Macy's, that is one clean operation. It may not pay the best, but I tell you what, you'll go home a whole lot cleaner working there than you will some of the other places.
Well, it's new now.
But it's been running for, well, 7 months, or since last August.
Yeah, but that's new relatively, you know.
But the big aspect behind it, they're not moving any foods or cleaning products.
Yeah.
Those are the things that, and dog food and oh my goodness, you get bleach and then wash powder, your soap powders and things like that being dumped down across your conveyor system. Man, it's a mess to lay in.
And then you got soaps and stuff like that.
And then the
also.
foods, and then they start deteriorating, and we had people that well, when I started there, and I didn't use the term new sheriff in town, but I started raising some fuss. I'd go up on our sorter, and they would have taken, instead of shoveling the stuff up and putting it into totes and taking it out, they just shove it up underneath the conveyor system and get it out of their walkway. I mean, I bet there's some candy bars in there that's a year better old that's in there all busted up and open, and other food that was in there that old. I said, I'm not crawling in there to fix anything. If you want it fixed, that needs to be cleaned out. So I went and got the VP of operations, which, it was hot up there in the summertime. He didn't go up there. And it was real cold in the wintertime, which I made a change and rectified all that as well. But he just didn't go into there. I mean, it was, oh man, you want me to sweat or freeze? Oh, no. I'll visit all the people down here where I can see them and don't have to, be evasive with this. So I let him know what's going on up there, and he's like, you kidding me? I said, no, so I took pictures. A lot of people didn't like me for that level.
Oh, yeah.
They had to start cleaning up. We had creepers that you used to get up underneath the conveyors, and well, you couldn't use them. I mean, they wasn't 4x4 to crawl up over all this stuff. So again, this should be real easy for you guys. I mean, the only thing that's changing, we went from chains and belts, V-belts, to now synchronous belts, and it's basically the same operation. Again, it shows you how to break down, how to look, and understand what the numbers mean on these belts. Another chart on what the letter code means. Gives you a breakdown of what you see on the shiv itself. Or that here they're calling it a pulley. We actually went through that today on the previous one, when we was going through the belt selection with Jason and others, yes.
I have a question for you, as far as this goes. And I'll use an example that is causing this question. My mower, right, I went to Lowe's and I told them the exact model and everything that I had, of the mower and the deck and everything, all the serial numbers, right? They pull it up on the computer, they give me this belt, and I says, there's something wrong here because the belt that I use is thicker than this. And they says, well, here it is on the computer, it's right here, and all that.
All right, here's the thing I'm gonna help you realize, because I used to work at Lowe's part-time. A lot of those people couldn't tell you a lawnmower from a weed eater.
How does, without having a previous belt, with markings, I should say, because the previous one existed, but all the markings were worn off.
If you have the previous belt, even though there's no markings on it, I would take it over to Napa. Napa has a regular green belt that's used just for Mordex and outdoor power equipment.
Napa?
Napa, right in Inwood. Or if
Or
there's a
Martinsburg.
Napa
Yeah,
in
we're not in
Martinsburg,
Martinsburg.
I don't know where you reside, Ed, so.
Yeah, Martinsburg.
All right, I know the guys here in Inwood, they set me up with a nice one of the green belts. It was for the outdoor power equipment. It was a true B belt. And only thing I had to work on was the size, because sometimes your belt may have stretched some, and they try to give you one that's smaller or one that's bigger. You got to determine if they'll get you within an inch or two of the right size, but you'll have the right cross section. The other thing we can do is, if you've done the last lesson, I'll pick on you about that. You could use the shiv gauges and determine what your belt is.
I was there.
You was there, then you didn't remember it.
Remember what?
See? But the shiv gauges will let you know what cross section it is. All right?
Yeah, but the only way to evaluate the actual length, because like I had the original, but there must have been 6 to 9 inches missing off of it. You know?
The best thing to do is to take a string and run around it.
Yeah.
Around all the pulleys, get a measurement, and because you're gonna be deeper into the V, that means you're gonna be smaller, so you may have to add a couple inches.
So
to the
you use
length.
braided rope, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
or something with greater braided, something with a greater diameter or close diameter to what you have. And it'll get you real close to the length you need. Now, you gotta remember that there's a spring-loaded tensioner. If this is the belt that runs the deck, there should be some type of spring tensioner on there that you gotta allow for,
Yeah.
all right?
I could
Does
just-
that help?
Yeah, I could just set it in one position or the other, you know,
We,
and get the 2 different measures.
all right, again, we're rolling through this. You're looking at all your different numbers, and each character, each number of these shivs or these pulleys and the belts indicates something specific. Case in point, when Jason and Jeffrey and the guys were working on their last lab, the AK-32. The A stood for what, Jeff?
Belt. Type A belt.
The section of the belt, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Jason, the K.
The type of material.
Mr. Kane, what was the 32?
The length of it.
Yours on the shiv. What's the length on the shiv?
Diameter.
Team help, yeah. I think you owe him one on that one. So each aspect of that was important. Now, if there had been another character after that, it had actually been for the actual insert that was used, if it was a changeable type of shiv. In other words, that it could have had some type of taper lock, and those last 2 characters would have indicated what type of taper lock it was that went in there. If it had one. If it didn't have anything after that, then it's a fixed board. And generally, if you're just looking at it, on your all's case, it was a 5/8 for a 5/8 shaft. Right?
Yeah. Then the others had.
See, the old man had all that on the chip. And I know you did too, Jeff. I'm not gonna cut you short on that. You
Well, I
had it
didn't
all
know all that.
memorized.
Nah, I didn't know all that. I learned that all today, pretty much.
But you see, you gotta
But once
take
you-
something away from it though.
But once you learn it, I mean, you know that your pulley, your hub's gonna go with the pulley, and your pulley's gonna tell you what belt and all that's gonna tell you what you need for your specific job. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So you can't really mess it up as long as you know. You know.
Once you understand the breakdown.
Yeah. Once you understand it, you can't really mess it up. It's like,
So again, yeah, I'm running through this fairly quick, but you get to see the letter codes. There's a description, helps you with the pitch, so you can differentiate what you need for your application. And there's all the values you're gonna put in. It's even giving you a breakdown of the belt itself. Here we're using actually a string that they're actually measuring around this timing belt to get an idea of what the length of this belt is. Huh, imagine that. Old man was on it again. So, this information is very helpful, guys. We've also got the books on each one of the tables that help with belt selections. And this is something that you're going to be using, if you're going to be in this career, this is something you're going to be using a lot through the life of your career. So try to learn as much as possible with this. All right? Again, here they're going through different types of application service factors for different equipment, everything from bakery machinery to centrifuges to conveyors to hammer mills to hoist. I mean, they're giving you a lot of information. What type of class the driver is. I mean, there's a lot of information in this catalog that we have here online. It's in a PDF form that you literally have the opportunity to download this and save it yourself. Again, it's a lot of tables and charts in here that can be beneficial later on. I agree, Dalton. I agree. Yeah, here, verify horsepower capacity by checking the teeth in the mesh. Yeah, right there it is, all spelled out for you. Determine the belt width. Select the timing belt and the pulleys for a given application. So now we're stepping through it. They're giving you a NEMA design.
What's that?
Huh?
NEMA.
NEMA is a nationally recognized coding for electrical components. You have like a NEMA 6 plug or a NEMA 1 contactor. They are rated, and it's nationally recognized rating. So instead of having 5,000 different pieces of equipment that could possibly fit here, we know that there's a standard rating for this whole thing, and now it's across the board. So when I go to buy one, doesn't matter if Leventon made it or Thomas and Betts. If it's a NEMA 6, it's a NEMA 6. Does that make sense? It's like when you go buy ammunition and you want 30-06, doesn't matter if it's Winchester, Remington, Ruger, or Browning, they're all 30-06. Here's just a NEMA rating. And hopefully I can give you an apples to apples comparison. Pun intended. Just messing with it. Here's more of a breakdown for the drivers. Here's service factors for the equipment. So this looks like it'd definitely be one of the nicer segments to save on one's laptop, being that's in PDF form. So you're going to reference all these charts in order to answer most of these questions. And obviously, here, they're giving you the answers to some of these guys. Skill 5 is the next one here. You're doing a NEMA Design B, motor 5 horse. You know, it tells you a 5/8 shaft. The driven shaft's 5/8. The distance between centers is 20 inches. So you can go right through and set things up. All right. Gives you all the charts, horsepower or RPMs, the teeth. I mean, it's covering a lot of information here, and it's just, even though it's a lot, it'll help you get used to looking at the charts, use them for your application, and know that there's charts out there. That's the big thing, isn't that right, Mr. Kelly? All right.
I would think reference materials is probably the most valuable thing you got.
It is, and knowing where to get reference material. I mean, when I first started out in maintenance, I had a little black reference pocket. It was called a reference pocket guide. It was just, you didn't want to carry it in your pocket all the time because the thing was about this thick, but it would fit in your pocket. That thing had everything from the periodic table to telephone codes of every country. And everything in between that you would use in a maintenance environment. Everything from the amperage associated with the gauge wire to different chemicals that were compatible with one another to different gases that can be used for shielding, for welding. It covered it all. I got it over in the office. Anytime you want to look at it, stop by. It's like a $12 little reference pocket guide. I mean, obviously you go on the internet and get all this stuff real quick, but if you don't have the internet, it just has it in it. It says a pocket reference. I mean, why would I need all the phone codes for Asia?
Seems how everything is.
Well, where I worked, it wasn't at the time, anyway. Matter of fact, that company's still American owned. We make the parts. We actually had a machine shop in-house. So, we actually built equipment and sold it to other people as well as made the interior parts for the major motor companies. All right, guys, that should pretty much cover you. Y'all have a good evening. It's good information here. Make sure you take the opportunity to take advantage of it. Yeah, Ed.
They don't have an index to, on these PDFs.
Yeah, it's right at the first page. It tells you.
Not content, the index.
So you could look up a specific component and then find out where it's at? No.
Well, specific table, for example.
No, it's not in there, but
Absolutely.
for a PDF?
Hey, here's the,
The new one?
That's
Or
the
this is
searchable
number 3.
PDFs, but
Our
for a
next
lot of
week,
these
it's up
times,
there.
you know,
That should be part of the total.
some PDFs aren't, you know.
But the PDF shouldn't matter, that's just part of the program that we use.
If anybody sees Dustin Miller, let him know that his urine test that's been put out there again, he's got 48 hours. Y'all see?
Okay. I don't think I got his phone number.
If I don't
Do
create
you?
it as searchable.
Give him a call, let him know he's checking his email.
Just say that you
Please.
want to look for something specific and we'll go.
Because it
to
doesn't do no good for me to email him and tell him to check his email.
yourself manually.
Does it there, Mr. Dick?
No, sir.
Oh, yeah, I got his number right here.
When it's,
All right, if you can let him
when
know, I
it's a
appreciate it.
searchable PDF,
I'll
you
call
can access